Right, so here is the deck itself. I'll start off with the Pokemon, obviously, because this is a Fear Alligator deck. We start with 4 Totodiles. Nothing particularly interesting here. Leer, flip a coin of heads, defending Pokemon can't attack. Fury swipes is flip 3 coins, this attack does 10 damage times the number of heads. You will notice that the HP on the basic Pokemon is around 50, so it's 10 less than today's basic Pokemon by a long way, almost by 40-50 HP in some cases. 4 Dark Croconaw. Now the Clamping Jaws is actually pretty good. It only does 20 damage, but like I said, the attacks on the older cards aren't that great because the HP is much lower. Clamping Jaw. The defending Pokemon can't retreat during your opponent's next turn. If the defending Pokemon tries to attack during your next turn, your opponent flips a coin. If tails, this attack does nothing. It's great for stopping attacks. So shame you can't run a Victini in this deck, so run 4 of those. And for the Fear Alligators, you're running 3. Pokemon Power in this case is irrelevant because I will be testing against Vegeta 90s Tapu Koko deck, and in the meta we don't have baby powers. That stops the baby power. Crushing Blow. If the defending Pokemon has any energy cards to it, flip a coin. If heads, choose one of those cards and discard it. Amazing. That is, I mean, it's only 50 damage, but I think this card is going to give any meta, well, this deck, sorry, is going to give a meta deck a good run for its money. It's not going to, I doubt it's going to win, but I think it will be fun to watch. I can't wait to play them, to be honest. Okay, so then we have the build up for the Slowking, which is Slowpoke. Water Gun on this is pretty good. If you it does basically 10 damage for every water energy you have attached to this Pokemon, other than the one cost here, so that one doesn't count. So if you have 11, it only does 100 damage. Slowpoke. We then run 4 Slowkings, sheerly for his Pokemon Power, because in the older game they work when benched, so it's just to have him on the bench. And the Pokemon Power is whenever your opponent plays a trainer card, you may flip a coin. If heads, that card does nothing. So it basically negates everything, well, every trainer card that your opponent can play. Obviously you've got a 50-50 chance, but that is incredibly strong. Match that with the Fear Alligator knocking out energies. Brilliant. This nice little techie deck, I like this quite a lot. Then we run 1, I never say this name, I always say Sucane, but I don't think that's right. Crystal Wave. This is pretty good. Flip a coin. If heads, this attack does 30 damage plus 10 more damage. If tails, this attack does 30 damage. And if your opponent has any bench Pokemon, he or she chooses one of them and switches it. So that is a very cool. Either way, you're doing something to your opponent, which is awesome. Then you run 4 Khalifa, not Wiz Khalifa obviously. Khalifa. The baby power on this is if this baby, basically if anyone attacks it, you flip a coin, and if it's heads, attack does nothing. It's only 30 HP, so anything's gonna knock it the fuck out. But Eek is pretty good. For 1 energy you get to draw 7 cards. And remember, there are no EXs or GXs in this deck, so single prize cards all along for your opponent. So that is the first deck list, winning deck list ever in the world, for the Pokemon anyway. Let's get on to the trainers. Okay, so Professor Elm is pretty much your Professor Sycamore. Draw 7 cards, but you get to shuffle your hand back into your deck rather than discard, which is awesome. So it's like a mix between an N and a Sycamore. OP right there, that is an OP card. And all Pokemon, you don't get trainers, you don't get supporters, items, stadiums, you just get trainers, and they're classed as trainers. You can use as many trainers as you want, which is going to be awesome against Vegeta's deck, unless it says otherwise on the card. Flip a coin. If heads, draw 4. Bill's Teleporter, nice little card that. 4 of those in this deck. Run 4 Pokemon Trader. This allows you to trade one of your basic Pokemon or evolution cards from your actual hand and trade it for a basic or evolutionary card from your deck. Easily help you get your Slowkings out. 3 Gold Berries. This is a healing card, so anytime you feel like it, you can take 4 damage counters off your Pokemon Tool, which is why we call some item cards, tool cards, is a throwback from when they actually were labelled as tool cards. Double Gust, essentially Lysandra. If you have any benched Pokemon, or Guzma, more to the point actually, your opponent chooses one of them and switches it with your active Pokemon. Then if your opponent has any benched Pokemon, choose one of them and switch it with theirs. So your opponent has to switch first, which is helpful to you, so you can decide what to switch. If that makes sense. No, your opponent switches yours first. Yeah, well, you know what I mean. We have Berry Balloon, which is Floatstone. That's all that is. Very useful. There is one Rocket's Hideout. Each player, this basically gives any Pokemon with Dark in the title 20 plus HP, which is essential, especially when playing meta decks. The Boss's Way. Search your deck for an evolution card with Dark in its name, show it to your opponent and put it into your hand. Shuffle your deck afterwards. Time Capsule. The wording on these is really convoluted for no reason. Let I'll read it. Your opponent may choose 5 basic Pokemon, evolution and or basic energy cards in and her discard pile. If your opponent doesn't have that many, he or she chooses all or none of them. If your opponent chooses any cards, he or she shuffles them into his or her deck. Either way, your opponent, you may do the same, and you can't play any trainer cards after this. So yeah, that's a trainer card stopping. Super Energy Revival. Trade 2 of the other cards in your hand for 4 basic energy cards from your discard pile. If you have fewer than 4 basic energy cards, then take them all. So that is the trainer list for this deck. As you can imagine, this is quite an energy hungry deck. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 water energies. There are no DCEs in here at all because a lot of the attacks require only water energies. I feel that maybe if this deck was built by the age range 15 plus, there would have been DCs in here. Remember though, the first ever tournament, the Masters League, which was 15 plus, so adults, wasn't advertised well at all, so no one turned up. They basically called it a loss, and only a few people turned up, and they decided not to go ahead with that. So yeah, Dylan was in the bracket of 12 to 14. 11 to 14, I can't remember. I think it's 12 to 14. So yeah, and he was titled the very first ever Pokemon champion. Awesome, eh? So this is a real good deck. I'm very much looking forward to testing this out, and that battle will be up very soon because hopefully Geekout will be round within the next few weeks. Cheers for watching, guys, and remember, as always, don't freak out, geek out. If you guys like this video, remember to like, comment and subscribe. Also, what are your thoughts on this sort of history segment I'm doing? I'd like to build more old school decks that actually won tournaments in the past and test them out on new decks. If you guys like that idea, let me know below, and that is what I will do. Thanks for watching, and again, don't freak out, geek out.